Spring is in the air, and so are spring games on college campuses. Let's talk about a few of these games.
Welcome back to First and Short, your first place to get short bits of college football news and analysis. My name is Aaron, and I'm here with my co-host Mashfik. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Please, before we get started, subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course YouTube. Subscribe. We know we're in the off season and things are a little slow, but we have a good show today, right?
I'm excited for today's episode. I love spring games.
Yeah. So we got some intel, and we have some analysis from some of the spring games, as Mash alluded to in the opening. So with that being said, Mash, what games did you watch? This past weekend.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of teams. And a lot of them are opting not to be on television, so you kind of have to take what you can get. But I saw a lot of highlights. Georgia, one of them, Georgia Tech. I found a few things there. But yeah, there's a lot of takeaways. Love to hear your thoughts. It does make me a little sad, right? Like I know this upcoming weekend there's a few more games, but after that we have no more football until the fall. So then we have to just live on the message boards and listen to whatever they say. So that is what it is. But what I know you were very excited to talk about a few teams here today. Which team do you want to start off with? Start us off.
Yeah. So you mentioned Georgia. Their G Day was this past weekend on Saturday. I want to start there. We've identified some strengths and weaknesses for that game in particular. First things first. I have to point out that run game and the depth they have. Right. For those who didn't really watch the game, Nate Frazier, their RB1, he ran the ball one time and he basically tweaked his ankle, and they said, "Oh no, you're good, you're
Yeah.
done. Let's stay healthy, right?" So I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to be a slow day in the backfield. Absolutely not, right? We saw Chauncey Bowens still doing his thing. He has the number change now. He's no longer number
Oh, sorry.
30. I forgot if it was 33, but now he's number 5.
Okay.
Um, Saw Dwight Phillips, being speedy. He's usually the guy that's getting the jet sweeps or running to the outside, or being shifty. He had a great game and some good carries. And then, you know, they added a new guy to the backfield, to the workhorse, getting some of those carries. Dante Dottle,
Hmm.
the running back that's a transfer from Kentucky. And man, he's like a different gear, or a different, variant of running back, of great running backs at Georgia, right? Like, um, Frazier's your guy that you're depending on to, just be there and be the workhorse. Then you got Bowens, who's a good runner, and you know uh,
Dwight Phillips, maybe
Phillips.
the gadget guy.
Yeah, Dowdle is the bruiser. Like, he is the
Mm,
contact seeker from what I saw, and like his runs were explosive, and I'm just like, wow, thank you, NIL. As a biased Georgia fan, I
right,
will
right,
admit
right,
that
right.
here, right? Like, the fact that you can just get another like workhorse SEC running back like that into your program and have him be ready to play and be productive in another year, amazing to me, amazing. So thought that was
Gotcha.
very
What?
interesting.
Yeah. What other strengths did you see on this squad?
Yeah. So they have a lot of defensive returners. I think Georgia was, already known to come in and have a lot of defensive production return. So interested to see how well that's going to play out into the year. You have guys who are experienced now, so that's great for them. And then
Yeah.
lastly, um, there should be no question about how to build your game plan on offense, right? You have a QB1 who's been in the program for years, and now he's a veteran with a lot of games and a lot of experience under him. So now it's clear as day. Is you know who your guy is, you know how comfortable he can be in big games and big moments. So now you just build and execute around him, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think last time Mike Bobo was here, Georgia had Aaron Murray, and he pretty much got better every year. Uh, Gunnar Stockton, he's been around. We People know they should know better than anybody what he is and what he isn't. So excited to see how they, like you said, how they build that game plan around him. Yeah, for sure. Well, that was strengths. Any weaknesses? I'm sure there's
Y-
some. What
Yeah, yeah.
weaknesses did you see?
So, the first thing that I'm noticing, right, there was no clear dominance at the receiver position. Of course, they lost a lot of good guys like Dylan Bell, Zachariah Branch. Um, who else did they lose? They lost Noah Thomas, even though he was only there
Mhm.
for 1 year, right? He was still a guy on the edge who you could throw the deep
Col-
ball to.
Colby Young. I don't know if you did you say his name?
Colby Young, right?
Yeah.
He dealt with some injuries, but like it would have been great to have him another year and just be that for sure number one target who's going to be the deep threat. Um, don't get me wrong, we saw some spurts. I think is it Talon Taylor? We saw some spurts of excitement from him, and we saw some other young guys step up. I know Scovey White, he was he had to sit down this game. I think he had an injury, and they said, we're not going to even attempt to put you out there and re-injure anything. So there's not a clear definition of who's going to be that number one guy yet at receiver,
Yeah.
which is great. It's going to make it a competitive summer, and it's going to make them guys get better because they're challenging each other to be that guy.
Yeah, I
Um,
I know from spring notes I saw the guy from Georgia Tech, Canyon.
yeah,
Yeah, he's been tearing it up at spring practice. Did you I don't remember seeing anything in the highlights. Did he do anything of note at G Day?
yeah. I mean, he had like I think one or two pretty good catches, but again, the ball was being spread around so much on G Day that
Yeah,
like you know
it's hard to
they
get. Yeah,
they weren't going to show their hand too much if he really is going to be that guy. I think
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's offense. So it seems like wide receiver room might be a big question mark. Anything on the defensive side that stuck out to you as a weakness?
Yes. So, we aren't sure, who those edge rushers or disruptors are this year on defense, right? Thought it was going to be Mars Williams, the transfer from Auburn, but we saw he tore his ACL, so he will not be a factor in the 2026 season. Maybe 2027 if he decides to stay, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I was thinking, as long as the season is now, we might see them. If Georgia makes it, into January, we might see them next year. Like, yeah, in 2027, but like still this season because of how long the season is. But
fair.
um, yeah, but the nice thing about Amaris Williams, the nice thing about him going down, I think he had so much expectation and focus on him. Now it kind of opens the door for a lot of other defensive linemen who have already been around.
Mhm.
They can make their mark. But yeah, Amaris Williams going down, that definitely was a downer. I text you as soon as I saw that
Yeah.
happen. That
Yeah.
was unfortunate. Um, what would you say is the biggest risk to this team that you feel like will derail this season for the Georgia Bulldogs or derail, any uh successful, like what they would deem successful season?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you kind of mentioned one of the biggest risks, and that's injuries, right? They need to stay healthy between now up into that first game, and then they're gonna have to stay healthy throughout the season. I mean, um, SEC now they're playing 9 conference game schedules, so they're gonna be playing powerhouse teams every week now, and
Yeah,
you don't want to go into close to playoff time or conference championship time and just have a bunch of beat up teammates who can't go 100%, right? So that's to combat that. That's when depth comes into play, and it's
yeah,
helpful. But I mean, with this new era of college football, it's hard to have that depth to where it's just next man up, right? Um,
yeah,
Another risk that could derail the season is if the team becomes one dimensional and the pass game doesn't click, right? Um, with that running back depth and having that weakness of no dominant receiver at the position, they may just rely on running the ball heavily those first 2 games. Like I think they got Tennessee State and Western Kentucky. So I mean, again, you're not going to show your full hand. If the run game works, you're just going to try to get out of there healthy and get a solid win. Immediately, that third game of the 2026 season, I believe they have Arkansas. So you immediately go
mhm,
into SEC ball, and after that, I think you have Oklahoma. So the schedule just progressively gets tougher. And if you're not ready to click and play against those teams, especially Oklahoma, I think they're in the top 7 or 6 right now. um, you got to be, championship caliber level by game 4. All right.
Nice,
So,
nice.
yeah.
What gotcha. What area do you think like they can pleasantly surprise, like what opportunities do they have in order to like really wow the world this year?
Yeah. Yeah. So, first one's going to have to be the amazing depth they have in at tight end, right? They got a lot of young guys. I think Lawson Lucky, it's his last year, but they got, I think, Ethan Barber, Elias Williams, the young guy coming out of I think Bowden, Georgia, uh, Prothero, and then they got
Mhm,
Jaden Riddell, right? So you got
mhm.
5 tight ends who are all heck
That's
of
a stacked room.
yeah, athletes who probably could start tight end all somewhere in the SEC, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's crazy depth. So they have a chance to develop those guys. We even saw Prothero, we'll talk about him a little bit later, but we saw him kind of be moved around outside of the tight end position. The next opportunity that could basically enhance this team even more is they have the chance to develop and find that QB2, right? Gunner's going to be your guy this year, but you have a lot of young guys behind him who looked pretty good
Mhm.
in the spring game, right? So right now, I can't really tell who's going to be the QB2 for the season after. Is it going to be Montgomery? Is it going to be Pagowski? Is it going to be Bryson Beaver, the transfer from
Mhm.
Oregon, who was at Oregon for maybe like all of 30 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
I think Hezekiah
So
Malender had a good game.
yeah, right. Okay. So would you, if we had to, whatever team we cover today, I want to like put people on game. I want people to know one name after watching the spring game, for them to watch out for. So who would be the newcomer to watch? Would it be one of the quarterbacks? Would it be one of the tight ends? Who would you pick as the newcomer to watch, for Georgia football?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be the young tight end, Prothero. He's a 6'6", 230 pound guy out of a small school in Georgia, but he racked up touchdowns like no other in his high school career, and he even caught some great snags and passes and a touchdown in G Day. So he's going to be a guy that if you have him on the edge by himself, he's going to use his body, his height, and his athletic ability to make a mismatch against a receiver that's 5'10" or 5'11" in the SEC. So he's
Nice.
definitely somebody I'm keeping my eye on.
Got it. Got it. Okay, good. Appreciate the rundown there on the Georgia Bulldogs. I want to go a little bit more south, all the way to South Beach. Actually, I want to talk about Miami, and what we saw in their spring game, and kind of what their strengths and weaknesses were. Obviously, as kind of a recap, second place runner up, in the national title hunt from last year. They've got a lot to replace. Also, obviously they had Carson Beck at the helm at quarterback. On defense, they had Ruben Bain, Akeem Mesidor. So they have a lot to replace. What did we see here, in spring, right? So they
Yep.
played on their, actually on campus stadium, which I didn't even know they had. But obviously, it doesn't have the same, capacity as the Hard Rock Stadium. So some of the strengths that I saw, obviously, they had one one of the bigger, offseason storylines with Darian Mensah. He was at Duke, supposed to stay at Duke, ended up going to Miami. But strengths wise, he was a standout. He was the standout. He showed the efficiency and chemistry, that you need as a quarterback, uh, especially which is especially great seeing as he is a new transfer coming in, right? But he had great, chemistry with, Cooper Barkate, one also a transfer. I think he came from Duke with him, right? I think so. And so, other than that, uh, I think it's great that the freshman quarterbacks that recently signed up for this team, Luke Nickel and Judd Anderson, they also received some reps, as you typically see in a spring game. But Luke Nickel, he looks like he's going to be that backup. But solid performance. I think that's a great strength considering like how much newness is in there in the quarterback room.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I
Did you
on the
see
on
any?
the week.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you see any blemishes?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of that is going to come to what I kind of alluded to, how many people they have to replace, right? So the offensive line was pretty inconsistent. I think I saw the stat. Yeah, four starters are being replaced, as four of them went off to the NFL. Obviously, the quarterback, in a spring game, you're not supposed to be hitting the quarterback. So um, a lot of uh, a lot of performance that they show at that time, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. But if the your offensive line is messing up, then that will translate, in the fall. But right now, the center, he was struggling with snapping the ball throughout the game. The coach Mario Cristobal did say that he's playing through a minor injury, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I'm going to mention him a little bit later. Jackson Cantwell, freshman, he was one of the biggest recruits of the last cycle. He was already first team left tackle, which is, for correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, for a right-handed quarterback, left tackle is probably the most important person on the offensive line, right? So for a freshman,
Absolutely.
yeah, for the freshman to be in that position, just to flip the coin a little bit, I thought that he did good there. And then, replacing Ruben Bain, replacing Hakeem Mesidor, that's a tall task. So the defense was a little inconsistent. They lacked a little intensity. Obviously, it's a spring game. It's kind of hard to see, read too deep into that. So I won't go too deep into that. But they were missing that same kind of fire that they had before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just kind of what I saw.
Okay. Is there anything that you saw that could potentially be a concern that could derail the season?
I think Mario Cristobal's kind of mantra and every that kind of what he's hung his hat on has been line of scrimmage. And I just mentioned two areas of weakness, right? That defensive line, that offensive line has a lot to prove, has a lot to replace. I think that will be their biggest threat. Darian Mensah will be able to erase a lot of that offensive line woes if there are some, but
Mhm.
let's say he does. I mean, if let's say he strikes out or unfortunate injury, whatever, those are the biggest, especially offensive line. That'll be the biggest, threat to the success of this team. Like I don't know if Luke Nickel can come in as a freshman, if his offensive line is creating penalty like self-inflicting penalties or can't block someone on the left side or whatever else. So um they have a lot to replace on the wide receiver side
Mhm.
as well. um Similar to Georgia, didn't see too much, fireworks in that regard. So we'll see. But in terms of like groups of
Yeah.
positions, I would name those guys. I think just to go back to the penalty thing, I think the stat was Miami was ranked 86th nationally last year in penalty yards per game. So 60 yards, yeah, 60 yards per game, they were, walking backwards. So that's something that you have to clean up. And they have a very easy schedule this year. And we'll
Mhm.
talk about that in a little bit. But if this team cannot improve with discipline, some of those easy games might turn into a medium game or a hard game for no reason, and then all you need is a one or two dominoes to fall, and all of a sudden it's a failure of a season. So the self inflicted errors, the
Mhm.
discipline has to improve there.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. And like you
Yeah,
said, that they're replacing those veterans that were on the team with younger, newer guys. So I don't know if the mistakes will just naturally or magically go away like that, right? People have
right.
to learn the system. You got high school kids having to be ready to play in these hostile environments and be
Yeah.
disciplined and not let the nerves get to them, right? So, like, yeah, talk to me about that silver lining that the fans can look forward to in the season, other than the threats, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, yeah, there's no bones about it. We're not going to be the only people saying this. Miami has a very, very easy schedule coming up,
Mhm.
and that is not only do you have a transfer quarterback who's really good, so but he still has to like learn the playbook and navigate all that there is to like learning about a new team, but he's going to have the opportunity to do so. They start with Stanford, they play FAMU, they go to Clemson, they have Notre Dame near the end. Like those are the big games that they have this year. Everything else is very doable. So um, Yeah, I think like that is a huge opportunity for them to just get back to where they were last year in terms of like the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry for the Miami, Hurricane season ticket holders. It won't be, you're not going to be reselling these for very much. Take your family if you want to, but in terms of like winning, possibly winning another championship or at least being at that stage, that's a huge
Mhm.
opportunity for the Hurricanes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It shall be interesting. Um, I believe we had one more game. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to shout out, we mentioned the newcomer for Georgia. I wanted to mention the newcomer to watch for this team. I
Right.
think I think the easy answer would be Darian Mensah. I think that's a cop out answer. I'm going with Jackson Cantwell because I've already mentioned him before, but um, I love when a freshman can step in and be that big body on the offensive line, especially on a team that's led by Mario Cristobal, who puts so much emphasis on the line, on the offensive line. I'm very excited to see where he goes. Even in this first year. So he was a 5-star recruit, number 3 overall prospect. I mean, he's going to be a brick wall for that team this year, especially in pass pro.
Yeah. That'll be
Yeah.
exciting for sure.
All right, let's get to the last team for the day here. How do you want to round us off? What's the last team you want to talk about?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Ohio State University. They had their spring game. Um, and the first thing I can say about them in terms of what I saw, they are still explosive on offense, right? We probably didn't even see their full strength, but in terms of the running back room, receiver room, and quarterback room, like the connection between those three primary positions on offense is there.
Good.
Uh, you got your big three returning. You got Julian Sand, Jeremiah Smith, uh, Bo Walker, right?
Yeah.
Bo Walker. Yeah, I mean, gonna have very very experienced veterans, and this team has been in those big time games. So I mean, um, it wasn't a surprise to see that they were still making great plays. The thing that really surprised me, and I called out as a strength from that spring game, was the QB2 they had. So not even Julian Sand. It was their backup quarterback, and his connection to one of the freshman receivers. It showed that they have just extremely nice depth on their roster. It was actually pretty insane. And then on the defensive side of the ball, in terms of strength, Matt Patricia, right? He's returning. He's going to bring that same great defensive scheme that he brought last year, and teams are going to have trouble with it.
Just want to make a quick fix. We said Bo Walker is Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted to. Yeah. Um. Okay. Yeah. Great. And then what about so yeah, that all sounds great. I mean, that seems typical, strengths that we always see from Ohio State, always great on offense.
Mhm.
It's great to see some continuity on defense as well. Uh what areas would you say might be of concern, like a weakness for this team?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the first things I saw is the attrition. Not only the players that they're losing, the top defenders they're losing to the NFL draft, right? They're losing some good coaches too. They're losing the wide receiver coach. I think he's going on to be a
Mhm.
head coach, right? Um, so that's that's the problem that a lot of great teams face, right? When you become a great team and you create a great program, a great system, people are going to try to figure out how to mimic that or take the good and apply it to their program, and it happens, right? So that's something that inevitably is going to be a weakness for them that they'll have to strengthen, because you'll have new people in new positions and new coaches in new positions that'll have to ramp up and get ready to continue that same standard that's been held for the past couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
What let's talk about let's talk about pleasant surprises first.
Yeah.
So obviously last year they lost their first game of the playoffs or second game of the playoffs. What what areas of opportunity do they have to get over that hump? Where can we get pleasantly surprised by this year's Ohio State team to potentially make that next step?
Yep. So, um, I didn't mention his name earlier, but again, that QB2, Tavian St. Clair, man, uh, I really liked what I saw from him in the spring game. Julian saying, of course, he did his thing. He probably didn't get as much reps as he wanted, but Sinclair, in my opinion, made his case for applying some pressure to potentially, if Julian Sayin ever falls off in terms of productivity for the 2026 season,
For whatever reason.
for whatever reason, injury, like for whatever reason, it's very unlikely to probably happen.
Right.
You have a guy who's behind who I think is ready to step up to the occasion, right? So
Nice.
that was a very pleasant surprise for me. Um, Another pleasant surprise that they can probably capitalize on is having a new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, right? He has a chance to make the offense his own. He's a guy who has a lot of NFL experience, and from what we saw, I mean, the offense still looks pretty explosive. So maybe he'll be able to have some fun. And then lastly, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I can't believe he he went from Atlanta Falcons to Ohio State. Just that's just
Yep,
all I wanted to
yep,
say.
it's crazy.
Best of luck. Best of luck
Best of
though.
luck. Yep. Yeah. But lastly, I think the last opportunity that I saw is that defensive rebuild, right? They did lose a lot of players, but they did pretty good in the portal and in recruiting, and they developed their players really well. But one player that stuck out to me on that defense, and being that disruptor, is Quay Russo, right? He looks really good in some of those spring reps, and he was getting in the backfield fast. And I can just only imagine the disruption he's going to have in the Big Ten this year. He's used to that high level play playing in the SEC, so it should be easy to convert to this new league and this new level of play.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mhm.
Where do you see the biggest risks for this team to potentially, fall apart?
Yeah, yeah. So one I've already mentioned is the attrition. As you become the standard of the 2026 season, there's a chance that people are going to try to again pull some of your assistant coaches as programs fire their coaches. They're going to want to look to hire the best of the best, and the best of the best are usually at those great programs like Ohio State. um Two, this is the toughest schedule we've seen Ohio State have in a while, right?
Yeah.
um I anticipate them to have to play 7 top ranked teams when they play them. So I think they'll play at least 7 teams in the top 25 when it's time to play them. So
Yeah.
it'll be
We I know we've
very.
talked about Yeah, I know we've talked about Ohio State's schedule on a previous episode, but at Texas, Illinois, at Indiana, at USC, back-to-back weeks, by the way.
Mhm.
Oregon, and then of course ending with Michigan. Like that this is gonna be a true test. Um, I know we talked about season ticket holders at Miami, but uh, people are about to get their money's worth here. So
Yep.
nice. Um, I know that we talked about this. There's a freshman to watch on this team. I know Jeremiah Smith is on his way out, but maybe there's some guy coming back in under him. So who's the newcomer to watch on this Ohio State team?
Yeah, that's the 5-star freshman Chris Henry Jr. So correct me if I'm wrong. He was in high school this fall.
Last. Oh, is he okay?
We'll
Well,
fact
wait. What do
check
you mean?
that. If he early enrolled and this is his.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, probably. I mean, he might have.
Well,
You're saying he was supposed to be. He might have. There's so many early enrollees these days.
yeah, there are.
Um,
But
I'm not sure about that one, but I'll double check. But go ahead.
his performance was insane, right? Of course, he got the younger guys are going to get more reps and more opportunities in the spring game, but I mean, he had 4 catches for 96 yards and 1 touchdown. Like, if this guy is able to replicate anything like that in the fall to help out Jeremiah Smith, this team is going to be insanely dangerous on the vertical deep threats, right?
Gotcha.
He displayed some great chemistry, like I said earlier, with St. Clair. That he hauled in 2 deep bombs, including that 40-yard touchdown strike. Um, he's going to be, I think, immediate impact on an immediate, uh, player that's going to be a nationwide name because of just how easily he's come into the program and shown that he can be a guy that you can depend on to make those big plays.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, very excited to see him. I just to go back to your previous one. I didn't see that he reclassified. I mean, he did enroll early, just because he finished up high school, but he was set to graduate in May from the beginning anyway. But
Okay.
um, yeah, but his dad played in the NFL, so he's got a lot of good experience just by watching him. So excited to watch Christopher Henry Jr.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron, that's most of the big stuff that we watched this weekend. Excited to watch some more spring games this Saturday, but appreciate you sharing that information with us and appreciate all the audience for watching. And we'll catch you on the next episode.